Howdy tubers, welcome back to the Zach Live. So in this video, I'm going to try to build a hydraulic press. Right now, in this moment, in this second, real time in my life right now, it's right behind you and has just suffered a catastrophic failure. You need to hang around and see what happens. This is a great example of why you should not try this at home, why the things that you buy in stores have engineers, and why building stuff yourself can be dangerous. Do not try this at home. I am what you call a non-expert. Welcome back to the Zach Life. I have something in potentia. Let's get after it. I bought a bunch of junk off of surplus something or another hydraulics off the internet. I don't remember what it was. I got a 5-inch cylinder. I'll explain why in a minute. A 2-stage hydraulic pump like would be on a log splitter. A valve, it's an auto return valve. We'll go over all that when we get there. So what I'm planning on doing here is this is going to be stood up. This beam will stand up. It's a little bit too long. It's about 8 feet long. We can cut it off when we're done. This is the top and this is the front. We're going to take this cylinder and mount this cylinder here. It's going to be, I think I've got a piece of 10-inch wide flat bar, so it's going to be center of it's about 13 inches or something off this. With a big piece of flat bar, a couple of pieces of channel iron. Obviously we're going to cut the whatever you call this, a clevis, off the end of it. We'll probably machine that, or maybe just cut this off with a chop saw. And then we're going to take a couple pieces of channel iron and come all the way out to here and make a table. I went with a cylinder because the way the end of it's designed here, this is bolted on. I don't know if you can see the bolts there, but if you unbolt this, everything comes off the end very easy. The piston comes out of it and it's just a barrel. So if this ever needs to be repacked, you can completely disassemble the whole cylinder off the press in less than a minute. Okay, so here's my piece of flat bar. I'm going to stand this flat bar up right here, flush to the very top, and then the cylinder is going to go on it. I guess I might weld the flat bar to the cylinder first. Okay, so I want to line the end of this plate up with basically the end of the cylinder, or maybe something like this. There's a piece of channel going to go here. I don't really know how to do this other than eyeball it. If I don't get this just right, it's going to be one of those things you stare at forever. It's going to drive me nuts. Again, I'm going to use these 1/8 welding rods as just to step this off here to give me a gap to basically fill with the hard wire, because you get such poor penetration with that. I may switch to dual shield actually. Dead nuts perfect right there. So the next thing, I want to stop. I don't want to put any more weld on this because I don't want it drawing this either direction. The next thing I'm going to do is take a piece of channel iron, cope it so it fits around this weld here. It's going to be welded to this where the weld of this cap is, and they come all the way down across this back to here, and this will square all of that up and make it so when we weld this out or up here, it's not going to let this twist at all. Well, it has been another hot and windy day today. I got a bunch of stuff cut up here. I just got some welding to do. This piece goes back here. I guess I'll stick you back on this bottle and get after it. The next thing, I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this cylinder. I'm going to pull these bolts out, pull this out the end, and we'll have to take this to the machine shop, and then I can finish welding on this without worrying about hurting the seals in the piston. I'm not going to show it because it's kind of bloody, but I got a wicker off that right down in this finger that I cut off, right in the seam where they sewed it back on. It went in like, had to go all the way to the bone. I pulled out I pulled it out, it broke off, I had to dig it out. It was about that long. The only good thing about it is I don't have much feeling in it. Got a little Earl. Okay, so the next thing is I've got to bring these legs out here that is going to make the top of the table to press against. I hadn't actually put a tape on this. I don't know where they're going to be, but I'm going to make them out of, I've got 2 pieces of 6-inch, I don't know what the weight is, but it's heavy channel. And these were drops off of something or another. I got a real good deal on them. And it actually will be stronger than a single piece of 12-inch. And the reason is you'll have this big rib in the middle to keep the middle of the webbing from being able to buckle. This will actually give quite a bit of superior strength. The problem is there's a bunch of welding here. I'm going to tack it up, get one of these put on here, and then I'll probably work on the other one off camera. I need to run this up to the machine shop. It's got a nut on this piston. I expected it to be really tight. I hit it with my impact wrench and it came right off. I'm going to take a torch real quick and just cut this right along here, and then see you up there at the shop. So here's what I got. I want to save every bit of the length of this I can, because this is going to get kind of mushroomed, and I don't want this to pull the mushroom up into the cylinder. It'll screw the seal up. But I kind of torched this at a deeper angle than I meant to. I have kind of ruined some of that, so I don't know, see what we make out of this. I was going to spin around and show you, you can't, even if this machine's in neutral, when the motor goes off, it locks the chuck. Let me stick you to something here and we'll make this round. So I got a bunch of this welded out. I'm certainly not done with it. A lot of it looks pretty rough. So I got this crusty piece of angle iron. I'm thinking I'm just going to hold it up under here, about the middle of where this beam's going to go, and tack it. I want to make sure these are perfectly square, because if they're running downhill, it might have a tendency to sort of kick out whatever you're pushing on. I got to cut this beam off. I kind of was trying to figure out the height of the top and the bottom of my the thing you're stuck to there. I don't know what you call it, the floor maybe. And last night I made this mark there with my finger, and so that's where I'm going to cut this off. So I've been fretting about what to do about the feet. Where this is going to go in that shop up there, it's going to have to be walked up against continuously. There's just not a lot of room in that building. It's not like it's going to be crammed in a corner. Now what I don't want, or what I can't really figure out a solution to it, I don't want just a piece of channel iron sticking out there where you'll, you know, remove your big toe when you stump your toe on it every time you walk by it. And I'm not real sure what to do. I'm going to mark this beam here and cut it off. I'm probably going to make this cut and then roll the beam on its side, roll everything on its side, and do some more welding. I'm going to have to work this tip over. It's about 3/4 flange. I don't know if I can cut 3/4 very well with a single lock tip. That's what a torch tip ought to look like. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but you can see the stream of air, the oxygen. You can see the stream of oxygen go right through the middle of it. Well, that looks pretty good. I've got some more welding to do. I need to cut this piece off. I need to weld this. I need to weld across the top of the between the cylinder and this, and right here. I'm gonna get that all welded out real quick. So I've got this piece of 3x4 angle that I hacked off. It was on this other thing that had been cut up. I don't know what it was. And I'm going to take this piece of angle iron and put it back here at the back. And I think that it's wide enough. It's just about 3 feet wide to stabilize it, you know, left to right. And then I don't think this thing is, it's got enough crap hanging off the front of it. I don't think it's going to have a tendency to fall backwards. I'm going to tack it on there, and then I think I'm going to come up here and torch a big hole in the top of this, probably right about there, where I can just run a chain through this and pick it up with a truck or whatever I need to pick it up with. I got all this welded out, blah blah. Looks pretty stout. I think it'll work. So I got one of these put on here. I'm going to go ahead and set it on the ground and stand it up and put the last one on once it's on the ground, just so I can make sure it's perfect level. You know, I don't want it walking around. I guess I'm just going to drop it. I'm going to chain it, pick it up, and see what happens. Well, that went infinitely easier than I expected. So I got the last foot welded on here, or whatever you call it. I'm not saying that one person couldn't flip this over, but I gave it about as hard a push as I could, and I could sort of get it to rock a little bit, but it is it's not going to fall over. It is absolutely plenty sturdy, and it sits good. It's not, doesn't rock or anything. I got to figure out a hydraulic tank. So it's got this piece of plate that's welded in here. This came pre with the beam. I'm thinking I'm going to put this wrench on it, break that out. May have to torch it out or something. I've got this piece of 5.5. I hate to buy a tank. I'm not going to buy a tank. And this is just a scrap piece that I've got laying around. I torched the end was real rough. It's got two pretty squared off ends now. So being in the oil field and running a reverse unit, I know off the top of my head that 5.5 is about 19.5 square inches ID. This piece is 10 inches long, so that's 195 cubic inches. There's 231 cubic inches in a gallon, so it's about 7/8 or 3/4 to 7/8 of a gallon, something like that. I did the math. This is 35 cubic inches rod displacement, so that'll be the maximum change in the level of the tank. I would like a tank closer to 2 gallons, but this is kind of what I got, and this is a budget build, and I think this is what I'm going to use. Now I'm going to take that piece of pipe and weld it straight to that piece of plate, and then weld the plate back in there. That took less effort than I even expected. Okay, first step, this is a plate I just broke off. The first steps, I've got a 1-inch hose KC, and I'm going to weld it in this plate. I guess it's going to hail a little bit. Well, the next thing I have to do is go outside and use a torch and cut a plate out for the top. And I ain't doing that. All right, another day, another dollar bill. So I got some bolts to go in this. And I have deciphered. I want to drill a couple of holes in that beam and just mount this thing about right there. Something just like that. I know it's dark over here, you can't see. I'm gonna lay out some holes. I might just torch them in there. It's quite a bit to drill through. I can put some big ugly washers on them or something, I guess. I'm gonna mount this right there. I've got some fittings. I went and bought some fittings to screw in it. I gotta get some hoses made. So I got this valve mounted here. I think I like this. The handle's not gonna work, but I think I can cut this off and just make the handle about this long, and I think it'll work. I'm thinking I'm going to torch a hole out here, something like this. And then I can take my hoses and snake them through here. One will come straight into here, and the other one go up behind here into the top. I am going to take and put a gauge, I don't have one yet, a flush mount gauge right there, big round pressure gauge, and probably tie it in with connections to the top, but I don't have one yet. And I would like to make this thing run as soon as possible. I can, I can put a gauge in it later. The tank is going on the far side. The pump is going right here somewhere. The motor up here. And I'm probably going to torch a hole down here for the suction and return lines, just to sort of make a loop and come up into the tank on the other side. So I got my little tank done. I think it looks pretty good. I got a 3/4 inch collar weld in the top. I can put a plug in to drill a hole in it for a vent. There's a 1 inch suction y'all saw me weld in. I also put a 3/4 case in the bottom as a return, and I threaded a 90 on the inside before I put the top on, so that it sprays it to the side instead of straight up. Try to keep it from aerating any worse than it's already going to. So I went to town and got all my hoses made. Of course, I'm sure I made everything too long. Blew a couple holes in there and got that pump mounted. I'm ready to mount the motor. I got the Lovejoy coupling on it. That's what I'm fixing to do, is stick the motor up there and put some bolts in. I might just weld it or something. Let's knock that out. Well, what do you think? So I'm really not sure which way this is supposed to turn. I've got an idea, but if it's wrong, I'm not going to be able to get the junction box off the motor here. Realize you can't see it, it's up against this beam. I'm just going to put a couple of tacks on this motor. You can see what I'm saying there. This pump looks crooked. I got a little bit of slop in those bolt holes. Maybe I can just twist it a little bit. So I'm gonna go get my tank, stick it right back in there, put some weld on it, get it stuck down real good, and then I'm gonna hook all the hoses up. I got all the hoses already done. I got this hole cut out, I don't like I showed, and get that all knocked out real quick. Well, fellas, I believe the time has come. Got these two hoses run to the cylinder. They lay in there and look really nice. It's pretty clean looking. Got the hose that goes down to the pump. The return is just a red hose. Goes under and up in the bottom, and then the suction hose down there. I'm gonna go get some Earl. Surely that's enough to run the pump. I'm gonna plug it in and make sure it picks up and everything. Well, that didn't work. Well, tubers, we have a problem. Well, I went in the house and got on my phone. I spent about 10 or 15 minutes trying to figure out what to do about this. I thought that valve was set at pressure relief of 2,700 pounds. It's actually 3,700 pounds. The cylinder was rated for 3,000. You know, you figured to have more safety margin than that, but it obviously didn't. I got on their website. I was hoping maybe they had another one of these. It was only 250 bucks, and I would pay 250 bucks just for another cast iron piece there that broke. And it probably would be fine if you didn't bottom it out and then just max the, you know, the cylinder out like I did. Of course, you know, it's me. I build something, I want to take it to its limit, make sure it survived, and it, you know, this time it certainly didn't. I want to take this off, take the hose off of it, see if I can piece it together enough, get some measurements off of it, and, you know, and kind of make a print, and then see if I can maybe get water jet out a you know, a chunk of steel and just make one out of steel is the only thing I know to do. It'll be pretty simple job, and then you know, being steel, shouldn't ever have any more trouble. All right, so I know this video is going to end pretty abruptly, but I'm not sure what else to do. I'm going to go ahead and call the video. I have decided, I've been thinking about this, I'm going to build a new end out of steel. It's not going to be that difficult. I'll have to find a place that's got some 2-inch plate. I need at least 2-inch thick material, and torch out or whatever a piece to make it out of. I got to come up with a piece to machine it out of. And after we get the part, I'll pick this back up in a couple of weeks, and we'll build this and finish the bed out, and hopefully have a little bit better luck. I hate to end it that abruptly, but not sure what else to do. It'll let me get a video edited and get y'all something out, and we will jump back on this in a couple of weeks.